Hi, it's Sharon with Soups and So On, and today I'm going to make some Spanish rice. I've been making this for many years and it always turns out perfect. It's a never fail recipe. Years ago in Tolleson, Arizona, there was a little restaurant called Saguaro, and it was right in a neighborhood. I mean, you would just go down this residential street and here was this little restaurant. And on Sundays after church, my husband and I and our kids and other families, we would storm that place. And I know they would think, oh my word, here comes those people with all those kids. But we would fill up the entire little house, and they had the best Mexican food. They've been out of business for many years, but they were just in a little neighborhood. It was so good. And I loved their rice, and one time I went back into the kitchen, which you could see from your tables, and I said, who made the rice? And the cook raised his hand, and I said, what do you have in there? Well, one of his secret ingredients was grated carrot. So this is what he told me, and this is what I do. I'm gonna turn the burner on this skillet and let it get hot, and I'm gonna put about maybe a teaspoon and a half or 2 teaspoons of cooking oil. And I think that oil is a blend. It doesn't matter. Just put a little bit of oil in the pan. And I've used different kinds of rice. I'm not even sure what kind this is. I think it's long grain. My cousin gave this to me, and he had got it at one of those farmers markets where you go down the line and they give you a bag of rice and a bag of beans and tinned tomatoes. And so he gave this to me. I really don't know what kind it is, but I've used it before, and I really haven't had any that's turned out bad. So I'm gonna let the skillet get just a little bit hotter, and then we're gonna make our rice. Okay, all I'm really wanting to do is just brown this a little bit, and by browning, the rice isn't gonna really get brown. It's gonna take some of the stark whiteness off of it and just get it slightly golden. I'll let it sit there stirred around. And I used a cup and a half of rice. And I always, I double the amount of water. Depending on the crowd I'm gonna have, if I use 2 cups of rice, I use 4 cups of water. If I use a cup and a half of rice, 3 cups of water. That's the ratio. And I'm gonna stir this around a little bit. I recommend having everything ready, because once this starts browning slightly, it can burn really fast. And what I have here, this is what they told me at Saguaro many years ago. This is about 1/4 a cup or a little bit more of diced tomatoes. This is about the same amount of diced onions. And this is some grated carrot. That's what surprised me. I kept flaking around in his rice, and I said, what is that in there? And he said, grated carrot. He said it's just gives a slight sweetness. So that's what I do. I put those 3 items in after it has browned somewhat. Another thing I use, and I've used it on my little cooking channel here before, I love this. It's by Knorr, K-N-O-O-R, and it's a powdered chicken bouillon. And this one, I use a little bit of this too. I think I have a heaping teaspoon of this. This just kind of turns the rice a little bit red. This is a heaping tablespoon of the chicken flavored. You don't really have to use this. I just kind of like the color it gives it and a little bit of the flavor. And I will write this down in the bottom. There's a little down arrow, and I usually have the recipe. So many of my things, I don't measure very much, but I try to put the recipe down for you. But I will definitely write these down. I'm showing them to you so you can see what they look like in the store. Sometimes it's good if you have a visual. And the tomato, of course, has the red lid, and the chicken has a green lid. Figure that out. Anyway, this is just starting. It really hasn't gotten brown. I'm gonna leave it a few minutes and come back in a second. Okay, I think this is about ready now. And as I said before, it's not really browned. It's just, you can see a little change in the color, and some of them get a little golden. But at this point, I kind of move fast because it can burn pretty quickly. So I'm just gonna put my carrots in there. I'm gonna put the onion in there. And I hate to have my back to you, but what can I do? And here is the tomato. Here is that chicken bouillon. And here is the little tomato. And at that point, I'm gonna get the water in. And this is, I had 1.5 cups of rice, so this is 3 cups of water. You can tell how hot that is. Just give it a quick stir. And you need to do this in a skillet that has a good fitting lid. This is a pressure cooker here. It has a different lid to it. But I immediately turn the stove down really low. I have an electric stove, and I've got it down to a 2. And I set my timer for 20 minutes. Oops, that didn't work. Okay, it's already, I can see through there that it's already boiling. I've got it turned down. I've set it for 20 minutes. Now, at this point is where you threaten your family within 1 inch of their lives. Husband, wife, kids, spouse, visitors. My kids learned early on in life that they better not touch this lid. I would get a little unhinged if they did. It lets out the steam, and you've got to keep that in there for the rice to cook like it should. And so just don't let anybody take your lid off and stir it and look at it. Just turn it down low. Of course, make sure that it's really hot first, and you can see how hot mine was. So this is going to go for 20 minutes. And it turns out just about perfect every time. I'll see you back here in 20 minutes. Okay, my stove is telling me my 20 minutes is up, so I'm going to turn it off, clear that buzzer. But I'm going to set it, I'm going to take it off of the burner. Going to set it away from the burner for 5 minutes. And then I'm going to take the lid off and bring the camera up here, let you have a peek at my Spanish rice. Okay. Okay, you're going to see the lid coming off. I'm going to fluff it up a little bit. I always do this. I fluff it up just a bit, get all that stuff. The tomatoes and onions and the carrots kind of come to the top. It is so good, you guys. You got to try this. You can see that it really made a lot. That was 1.5 cups of the rice. So I put the lid back on and just let it sit there a few minutes, unless I'm ready to eat, and then we eat it right then. Look at that. Perfect. Perfect every time, actually. It's so good. Try it. It's Sharon with Soups and So On. Please hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. Thank you. Until next time. Bye-bye.